everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday. Pat, how are you? It looks like maybe it's a little colder up there in Sacramento.
It's like borderline rainy.
Yeah.
But not raining yet, but it's probably going to be. Which I like this transition to the winter because I work outdoors a lot.
Yeah.
So, electricity and water don't really mix.
Yeah.
But
better than
after being in
degrees.
140 degree basements, attics for the summer, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's fun. I know I was saying to my mom, oh yeah, it's getting nippy. And she's like, what's the temperature? 72. But it was like, it's cold at night. So, when I wake up in the house, it's like 65 degrees, which I like.
Yeah. I like sleeping when it's cold at night. I can't have it warm at night. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Definitely. How's your world? I know your Dodgers are 3-1.
I know. You're going to see me doing a little bit of a side eye just to see what's happening there. No, everything is good. It's good. I'm actually headed to New York tomorrow to see my cousin's daughter have her bat mitzvah, and I'll see my mom and my brother and his whole family. So that'll be fun. And then I'm coming back right in time for our shit show Sunday night. I will be here.
You should bring your phone and record some discussions about Zionism. I think that's a good place to have this talk.
Yeah, I know. My brother and I have already been talking to each other about how we have to cover for each other and just step out when it gets hairy, because it will. I'm sure.
You think so? Is it?
Everybody is everyone's liberal, there's no Republicans, but I don't even know what that means anymore. And obviously I'm not going to bring it up when we're sitting in the temple.
Yeah.
No, but they're, my uncle who's passed away, my Uncle Murray, his best friend was Howard Zinn. So they're lefties, they're good lefties, but this seems to have Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. And I just don't know, where everybody is in that,
Yeah, everyone I know, I don't know many people who are on the left with me in my local circle of family and friends. They all don't really like Kamala. I don't know anyone that likes Kamala.
Nobody likes her.
But they're all just so scared of Trump at the end of the day. It's unfortunate.
God, Hillary really fucked us all up, didn't she? They're more scared of Trump than Dick Cheney. That's, that's people who are wildly underinformed, actually. There's just no other way around it.
And I was thinking about it as I was listening yesterday or the day before to NPR, and they had a really good segment on where this guy, there was a political guy talking about how, now that he's not in politics anymore, people's happiness is really, he didn't watch the debate because he knows it's all just bullshit and talking points. And he sounded great. And he's like, and then, when it comes to happiness, I think government plays a big role in providing your happiness, and healthcare is top in the happiness and what makes people happy, like other countries of the world, like, Denmark and Sweden.
Right.
And then towards the end of the interview, I figure it's Anthony fucking Rendon they're talking to, who killed Medicare for All. And here's this guy saying for 20 minutes shit I agree with him completely, and he's the one who fucking sabotages. So it's like, how does a normie Dem listen to NPR thinking they're doing the good thing, and they're listening to this guy and they're like, yeah, he's making a lot of sense, and he's the guy who killed Medicare for All for California.
It's so insidious. It's just so insidious. When you see what the Democrats are inviting into their party, there's just no hope there. They are absolutely two sides of the same coin. They use each other. They need each other.
But if we can't push back against it now, what makes anybody think we're going to get back to the left at some point?
Oh,
as a party, these people that, our friends and family that are going to vote Democrat. How are we going to get back to the things that the working class issues are now being lobbied more on the right? It's all bullshit on both sides, but we've ceded all the economic stuff. Basically, we're not even going there
entirely. I don't even know the platform right now. And I know we're going to talk about all these different last ditch efforts, but it really is save democracy. By having the person who used his poll with the Heritage Foundation placed Supreme Court justices to stop the count. They had their own riot, by the way, that Brooks Brothers riot. They stopped the count. Like, they won. They not won, but they got what they wanted. That was, we say it all the time, but like a successful insurrection. And that's fine because it just felt more civil, I guess. I don't know.
But if you vote for the unelected, unprimaried Democrat, you'll save democracy. That's what we know. But anyway, we should get this thing started.
Yeah, let's start it off on a good note because we're going to go sour really fast.
No, we're not. We are not going sour.
We both okay. Thank you. We're really like expanding. We're making the font small. We're adding columns. I think we're going to have to do a scroll sometime soon. But thank you all. This is amazing. We are so grateful, and you guys rock. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Much
Cheers to all of
appreciated.
you, our pup heroes and sheroes. I'm going to get this part out. Oh, wow. Did we both just do the ticker also? That's crazy. You guys, okay. So when you're running the StreamYard, there's like 8 different pages and tabs that you have to go back and forth to, just depending on what thing you want. So it wasn't like an obvious thing that we would both have gone to a different tab to put that up at the same time. Right there.
We have a hive mind at this point. And StreamYard sucks. Their formatting is just kind of ridiculous.
Not exactly user friendly.
Yeah, you would think the logical way everyone who has a show would want, you should put all your slides in whatever order you want to show. A slide, a video, it should be in order. Nope, there's videos here, pictures here,
like Chiron
here, over
like,
here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
28 different sections for no reason.
That said, we're just going to complain and bitch the whole time. If you enjoy that,
my knees.
Please make sure you like and subscribe and smash that notification bell. We are going to have, we're very excited to say, an election night live stream coverage where we'll watch probably like MSNBC and Fox and CNN and just kind of toggle back and forth, right?
We're going to have on-screen coverage, probably a couple different shows up at once, and then we'll listen to audio on one, start and stop, interject all kinds of stuff to keep us busy, like the wheel times 10 with
like some fun
timeline cleanses, pup picks,
possible, like some ballot measures that we'll be watching maybe across the country that might be exciting. A couple of races that are sort of interesting. I think Dan Osborne in Nebraska is one of them. And if you guys know of any more sort of local in your area ballot measures or propositions or anything that might be sort of interesting to cover.
And we're also going to have a few guests pop in and out, that kind of thing too.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Keep it light. And I mean, basically we don't have our own election coverage team, so we're going to follow theirs and then correct the record as they go through their nonsense.
That is right. We are going to correct the record, just like David Brock.
We should bring some drinking games.
Yeah, we should do a bingo.
Maybe we'll play Jackbox for some of it.
we should do a bingo,
like a half an hour Jackbox in every once in a while.
You just like go away from all the streaming.
Yeah, just pop out. I mean, they're like 15-minute games. We could just pop out and play a game or two.
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I need.
Nope, I do. We're doing it. Sorry.
You can go in a different.
I own 51% of this show. I don't.
All right. I think it's time to get to our cheers, and we're
And real quick, I think the plan is to start at a regular time 5. I don't know when we're going to end, but I think we won't know who won probably that night anyway, unless it's a blowout. So we'll just while it's interesting, we'll stay on. Yeah. I mean, we might go to 10, might go to 11, might go to 9. I mean, we don't really know yet.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll start at 5. But that brings me back, which is why I said we should smash that notification bell just in case we have to get on earlier and cover something really exciting. I don't think we're going to know. Well, are we the only developed country that can't count its ballots on the same night?
Yeah, and with it being as close as it is in the swing states mattering, I mean, there's a good chance we won't know for a week. They're saying
democracy, baby. There it is. Democracy.
That'll build some trust.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already all starting, all the craziness, right? Don't anybody spoil the game for me. I don't want to know.
All right. While we get organized, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just so we always forget. So it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
All right, that's enough.
All right, that was really good. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of protesting at the front, and cheers to these protesters in Shenstone, the Elbit drone factory, which is an Israeli arms manufacturing plant, and people are still out there fighting the good fight. So I mean, it's so great that people are doing that. And I just kind of feel like the ones who get arrested for it by like actually gumming up the works, like actually stopping the ability, because I'm so grateful to people who do this, but man, what do we have to do?
We need all of it. I mean, we shouldn't stop protesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially powerful when you disrupt events and they have to end their whole event because somebody's a Zionist or something, for example.
I do
like that, because that's putting all the attendees who are also on board with all of it on notice that, hey, you elites are going to get some shit for this soon. But then the shit has to be some real, something has to happen. Is the thing. But this is big, and kudos to anyone putting themselves on the line. 100%. Just being at a protest is something,
especially at a weapons factory. I mean, I think it is so just disgusting to know. I mean, what we just saw, that 70% of all arms that have been weapons that have been used against Palestinians, I actually thought it was more, but are US funded.
Yeah, 70%. But what can we do about it? We're working tirelessly to end this war.
Ceaselessly, endlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The system is what it does. This is not a glitch in the system. This is what the system wants. It's awful. All right. Oh, yes. That is it. We're going to do some joy first. Here we go.
Joy. I think you're due for a record number of drinks. Oh, or not.
Listen, I'm beveraging up already. So yes, we will. But here come the puppets. Let's see.
Since it's Halloween, let's start with some dogs.
Creative. Those are good. Those are fun. Nice work.
People. Good job, people.
Good job. Bringing some cheer, because here we go. All All
what
right,
are we doing here?
we're gonna hash it out, right? Are we?
We're gonna hash it out. We should play the hashed out intro, shouldn't we? We should do that thing
so hard
we do
on these
every week.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Oh my God. True evil. That is our Israel section. 274 weeks.
No, 274 weeks later. That's our COVID section because we declared a pandemic 270 weeks ago, 274 weeks ago.
And we've ended that emergency funding, but we are still in the 9/11 emergency. Biden renewed that this year. And garbage in, garbage out, 2024, whoever wins, we all lose. And one good thing. All right, so let's start with Israel. This is, I honestly, I find this astounding that the UN and Francesca Albanese come out with this huge report. Okay. She's amazing. New report. I mean, it's all the stuff we already know, but like, they have to go by the book. Sorry, I'm looking for my readers. And what she says is genocide is a complex and insidious crime. Proving destructive intent is an onerous task, yet not when it's so ostentatious, sustained by a political doctrine of ideological hatred and articulated through institutional structures and policies. The UN put out a statement just a couple of days ago saying that what they are doing, what Israel's doing in besieged North Gaza cannot be allowed to continue. Hospitals have been hit, as we know, health workers, journalists, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians by this point are dead. I think a doctor was just today saying that there are 20,000 missing children missing. Which means
they're not unaccounted for. They're missing. We're looking at hundreds of thousands of dead people.
Yeah. They're under the rubble. They're in body parts. They can't be identified. So they're counted as missing. When this is over, I think what's going to come out is going to be even worse than what we are all seeing daily on our phone. I mean, it is just so abominable. And in the Knesset, they just had a vote to remove Palestinians and the left flank of members of the Knesset from being part of the democratic process. Like, they're not included anymore. The Knesset just voted on that. The only democracy in the Middle East. However, U.S. doing itself proud has Linda Thomas Greenfield, our U.S. ambassador to the UN, say that UN Special Rapporteur Albanese visits New York. I want to reiterate the U.S. belief she is unfit for her role. The United Nations should not tolerate anti-Semitism from a UN-affiliated official hired to promote human rights. Doesn't give a single piece of evidence to substantiate this accusation. And by the way, they know, they see more than we see. Whatever we see on our phones, they get way more of that. They know exactly what's happening there. So they know they're lying when they say things like this.
They know they're lying. They know they're funding it. They know it's unpopular. They know that this person's going to come here and speak just an iota of truth to the public. And she's prefacing it all with, well, this is a liar. This is an anti-Semitic person.
Like she's going to say she's Hamas, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's literally slander. It's libel. It's libel right there, anti-Semitic how? And, I guess you're protected somewhat with an opinion portion to it, but you just can't do that. That's so unprofessional at the highest level to speak of somebody in the UN, which we created the UN. I mean, what are we doing here?
To fight, to prevent, never again, right? To prevent a genocide. And instead, we have done everything possible. I mean, this ambassador has been the face of several UN vetoes against ceasefire resolutions. It is just so evil to see what our country is willing to do. And also, I don't know, the thing about just saying like it's anti-Semitic and not having to come up with any proof of it, not have to justify why you're saying that. Like on CNN and MSNBC now, and in even the New York Times, they showed they talked about the mass rapes and the torture camps. So this is widely known. So like she's anti-Semitic. Why? Because Israel has a right to defend itself. We would.
Right. But like you said, that doesn't make you anti-Semitic. So, give us your terms. Why is she anti-Semitic?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, we're looking at ethnic cleansing. It's clear as all day. Every news organization that's credible on earth
that's an anti-Semitic organization. That's Haaretz. That's Haaretz saying that. Haaretz is the one who said there's no proof of mass rape, of any rape actually, on October 7th. That came from Haaretz. The first reports that were in like this kind of media. I mean, I know obviously, Electronic Antifada and Gray Zone and Mint Press were talking about it from the beginning, but like Haaretz has been covering these sorts of atrocities in a way that our own papers don't at all. They're the ones who talk about, it was Netanyahu who has declined every single hostage ceasefire negotiation. That's Haaretz saying that. Anti-Semitic Haaretz.
Should we show some clips of our news here? I mean, not our news, but actual news. And well, this was American news. So sorry, but
which one are we doing? The starving Gaza, or AIPAC, or which one? Or did you want to go right to the Medi stuff?
No, not the Medi stuff yet.
Okay.
Shudo. I want to watch the Shudo interview real quick.
Okay.
Sure.
Gaza Health Ministry officials say that 40,000 Palestinians, the majority of them civilians, have been killed. On October 7th, Hamas killed hundreds of Israeli civilians. Does Hamas today regret the October 7th terror attacks?
Well, it seems to me that you are giving the Israelis the right to kill the Palestinians. When you ask if we feel regret for what Israel has done, you have to understand that Israel has been killing the Palestinians for the last 76 years. Unfortunately, you have covered this region for 20 years, but you was watching the region by the Israeli eyes. You didn't show the Israelis killing thousands of Palestinians within those 20 years. In 2014, Israel attacked Gaza and they killed more than 4,000 Palestinians. You didn't see that. They attacked Gaza and they killed in one day 1,000 Palestinians in 2008, and you didn't see that. Let's go to West Bank. There is no Hamas. There is no action from Hamas, and the Israelis have killed already 800 Palestinians in the last 10 months. What about this? You are supporting the killings of the Palestinians. I'm sorry to hear that from the CNN. Thank you very much. I have to finish that. Thank you.
Let me ask you, I'm going to quote you someone from Gaza who spoke, well, there you go.
Good for him leaving that interview.
Yeah, good for him leaving.
And spew, because he's got these responses queued up, Yeah. I mean, his framing right from the beginning is, well, 40,000 of your people are dead now. Was that a good move, dude? Was that a good move?
Yeah. Why'd you make us hit you? I mean, honestly, it's like abused wife syndrome. Why'd you make us hit you after 76 years? And, what was I watching? It was an interview on Breaking Points with Ryan Grimm and Emily, I don't know. And they had on an Israeli journalist who said he's a liberal Zionist. And as he kept talking, he was like, well, after October 7th, of course, Israel, we had to go to war. But now I think it's been too much. So if October 7th justifies over a year of slaughter, massacre, rape, torture, starving them, what do the last 385 days justify for Palestinians to do against Israelis, let alone the previous 76 years? I mean, the only thing that is ever talked about that we keep coming back to over a year later is October 7th. That's it. And they're not even, they're not even talking about the fact they keep talking about 1,200 civilians dead. First of all, they weren't all civilians. A lot of those people were active IDF soldiers, number one. Number two, we all know about the Hannibal Directive now, that Israel likely killed several hundred of their own people. We have known that since October 2023. They never talk about that.
Not a drop. And I saw this cartoon somebody shared today, and what struck me is this is 2006. Another home in Gaza is shelled by Israel. Tell me what you see here. Combat boots.
Little baby shoes.
It's 2006. So, what I liked in that interview with the Hamas representative is that they don't let them get away with the fact this started then. And that he points out that your news is informed through Israel's eyes, and our whole country's perception of all this, that this is complicated. It's because that's what Israel has wanted us to believe this whole time. Meanwhile, since 2006, and how many comedians do we have going back in history? Carlin was bringing it up.
Yeah. We've shown clips of Paul Newman talking about it from the 70s. I mean,
so people that are informed have known about this the whole time.
Yeah.
And, a lot of us did tune in for the first time to the details of this on October 7th, myself being one. I mean, I knew some of it, but I didn't, it wasn't in our face. And now you're covering it. So now I'm going to do my research. And now it's like, holy shit, how are we this evil? We've been evil supporting this for so long. Clear as day. And it takes someone 5 minutes of research to realize that.
I mean, it really does. And the terrorism that's been employed since the beginning, even against the British who were ruling Israel at the beginning, right? Hanging British soldiers from trees and blowing up hotels. Somebody asked, sorry, who that was, the person
Elizabeth.
Truth to tweet was his name's Osama. No, she does counterpoints with
Gotcha.
Ryan Grimm. Yeah, Osama Hamdan, and he's one of the heads of Hamas. That's who was being interviewed by Jim Sciutto. But yeah, this framing, do you condemn Hamas? And I have to say, one of the most sort of mind-shifting responses I heard was October 8th, I think. And it was Norm Finkelstein saying, no, I don't condemn them. They've been living in a concentration camp for half of Gaza is under 18. So these are children. They have never been out of this cage. They aren't allowed to go anywhere. They have to be, and in the West Bank also, the middle of the night, soldiers can come knock on your door. They can, I just read another report, or we read it on Sunday, that in front of, in the West Bank, in front of your family, they're just going to make the father strip naked. They're going to rape him anally in front of everybody with objects from your house. Then they'll make tea at your kitchen, terrorize you, and then leave. And they can do this whenever they want. That's part of the joy for them, is the terror that they instill. This has been going on for decades. So when Norm Finkelstein said, no, we wouldn't say that about Nat Turner's slave revolt, and it was brutal, and they killed women and children just as much, but he's a hero. You don't say that about the Warsaw Ghetto revolt, right? No. When you are an oppressed, dominated, occupied people, you have the right to armed resistance. So for anybody to still be saying, do you condemn Hamas? No. Do you condemn Israel and the US and Germany and the UK? Let's start there before we get to Hamas. It wasn't even formed until 82.
if this one attack justifies killing, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, what is us killing over 1 million Iraqis that weren't even the country responsible for 9/11 justify?
I mean, God, I wish I could remember the name of that comedian. We showed so many of his clips and they were so good. But about like the whole arc of Gen X, or not Gen X, I'm Gen X. I'm the youngest Gen. Gen Z discovering Osama bin Laden's letter.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And like understanding how much of it was rooted in the oppression and invasions by the US into all of their countries, but especially the Palestinian question. That makes it sound so like gentle. Yeah, I mean, these things didn't happen in a vacuum, right? And to act like the oppressors, as Jen said, the occupied people are the terrorists and not the occupiers. But that's the way it always is, right? The people in power can do whatever kind of social murder they want, and the people who revolt against them are the ones who are accused of violence. Let's just all be civil. Let's be civil. And yes, Adria, the Houthis have been incredibly effective in the Red Sea. Ansar Allah have been amazing, which is, now why Israel a few days ago was bombing 4 countries on the same day.
Well, look, the U.S. not putting any measure in place to prevent the growth and spread of all this terror from Israel is only emboldened them. And they're like, we got to put the pedal to the metal and get away with as much as we can now, which is why when you say Trump is going to be worse, maybe, but like they're trying to do as much damage as they can right now under a Democratic administration. They would have never gone into Lebanon. We're here now in Lebanon talk about how the Democrats and the U.S. are pushing this idea of the Lebanese turning against Hezbollah. There. Like, you got to kick out Hezbollah. We've heard this before. This is what happened in Palestine. Palestinians should have kicked out Hamas.
We heard it in Afghanistan for 20 years. And right. Like, I mean, it's not the way it works. Where has that ever worked?
Yeah. And the venture into Lebanon now politically is just, I read an article about how it could be the thing that sinks Kamala. And look, there's so many things that could sink her, but like for this to be seen as still expanding now in the home stretch is really bad. And it should be bad for Democrats.
They are using white phosphorus on UN peacekeepers in Lebanon. They're just bombing whole villages. Some of the oldest, pieces of architecture in the world, like thousands of years old. They're just destroying them. They want to do to Lebanon what they have successfully done to Gaza. And nobody is stopping them. Yeah, it is really despicable. And the fact that we're still hearing I'm working tirelessly and that anybody believes that is so vile. All right.
Yeah, I think that's just wishful thinking, people wanting to believe it. We're on Israel, so I want to go to Kamala. But
yeah, I don't know. Do you want to show any more of like the horrors happening in Israel?
I think we should show, look, it's important that they're starving now. And I don't want to back off on that. And I think it should stay in front and center in people's minds of what's happening right now.
How was Israel able to starve 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza so quickly and so completely? We have never seen in modern history this speed of starvation ever. Of course, this doesn't start on October 7th. You can go back multiple points in time. From 2000 to 2023, Israel has a profound degree of control over Gaza. And it's like a faucet that you tighten and loosen. And they would make sure that the Palestinians in Gaza were just hungry enough to not raise alarms. They were counting calories and measuring what is allowed in to make sure that everyone remained hungry in Gaza, but not so hungry that it raised alarm bells in the international humanitarian world. So that on October 6th, 2023, Half of people in Gaza were food insecure, and 80% depended on humanitarian aid. This is an attempt to use starvation to displace people, to kill people, to annihilate people, as an attempt to erase the Palestinians from history and from their land in order for Israel to fully annex Palestinian territory. And we see that their annexation plan continues now into Lebanon.
You know, it's so interesting, Jenna. Yeah, I saw that you wrote that earlier also about Fetterman just rejecting the facts. The facts are Hamas. The facts are anti-Semitic.
Yeah, we pulled that clip, but I don't know if we want to show it. Do we need to? Fetterman?
Oh no, look, we can just talk about it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're working tirelessly. People who don't look at all tired. And I didn't know this. White phosphorus is made in Arkansas. I believe you, but I normally don't put stuff up that I haven't researched myself. But yeah, this is an American-made atrocity, 100%. The putting them on a diet, like all these, like mow the lawn, put them on a diet, like all these ways of sort of distancing themselves from the atrocities that they're committing. First of all, it's evil. It's so sick. And, we hear all the time about, those kids are taught from the time they're 2 in their textbooks, to hate Israel. I'm sure that's part of it. I've seen some of the textbooks, but you don't need a textbook to hate Israel when they bang on your door at 4 a.m, take away your 8-year-old brother. And those are hostages, right? Or rape your father on the floor in front of you, or just steal your house, or
you're just hungry for the 5th day in a row because they're blockading the food, and you're not allowed to fish off the coast. You're not allowed to.
Yeah, they'll shoot you.
Regular things to grow your own food. That's even managed. Growing your own food is managed in the country. What does that tell you?
Like shooting people who are picking their own olive trees, and then they, tear down the olive trees. This is so sick. And the US knows about it. That's the thing that I just feel is so important for the people in our lives to understand, is that the stuff that I just learned or saw on my phone this year, obviously I knew in a sort of more theoretical way from reading books about what Israel had done to displace and, occupy Palestine. But it's different to see these images on your phone every day. But everybody in power, they know all of it. They've seen it. They know it. So they just have been lying in the most disgusting, cruel, genocidal way for years. And that's who they are.
That's who they are. And look, they've bought their way into our capitalist system to force allegiance from our government, basically.
I know, it's such a funny way, because I guess that's what happens on the lower levels, right? Like, I just couldn't bear to pull a clip from Tucker Carlson, but you don't see these things on CNN, unfortunately. But he was interviewing some Republican who said, the man said, I'm the only one who doesn't have an AIPAC guy. Everybody else, as soon as you get to Congress, you are assigned an AIPAC person. Everybody has an AIPAC handler, everybody in Congress. And they have your cell phone. They call you. You meet with them almost daily, or you hear from them. And nothing happens without the representative, the congressperson, senator, representative, whoever, saying, I got to check with my AIPAC guy. Like, that's just a common thing. So at that level, yes, I think it's like people want the money from AIPAC, and they also don't want the money from AIPAC being targeted against them, right? We just saw what happened to Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman, and those are warning signs to everybody else. Don't get out of line.
I think that's the obvious, level of it, right? With AIPAC buying politicians, essentially. But sort of the web that the overarching web of it is kind of deeper than that, even, because as a politician, you're responsible. They give you binders full of of donors, right? Who to call, who to get money from. So even if you're not taking the AIPAC money or you are taking the AIPAC money, AIPAC can call these donors and stop you from getting funds in other ways. Like it's
right. But that said, at that level, I do think that's where that manipulation and power happens. At the bigger level, I don't think like Biden isn't worried about AIPAC. Like this is part of the whole plan, right? I mean, this isn't like Biden's not like AIPAC's bitch, the way people say, or I mean, he's whatever, he's a non-entity now, but like his whole career.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with you on that. I think it's just the money. It's the money. It's AIPAC, and their other pressure is all the bomb manufacturers, all the people whose their whole ecosystem depends on creating weapons and war.
But and I mean, I think that's the thing, is that like that is the whole ecosystem, right? Like we have 800 outposts of our military across the globe, you know? So like it is a US imperialist project that we are wholly
but the machine is running itself. Like it doesn't matter who. There are so many pieces with the tentacles wanting that money to keep going to their organization, to their lobbyist group, to their business, to the donors, to the mutual fund that has the bombs, and then inject that now into all the school systems that are they're making easy money off manufacturing all these weapons. So they don't want to divest.
Yeah.
And then in their school board themselves, they got AIPAC pressure, you know, so it's like the whole thing, capitalism it's a runaway machine that kind of doesn't matter to me at top who's pulling the strings on it. There's so much pressure on everybody to do the same thing, which is to benefit all these people.
Exactly. I think the reason that I just want to get away from AIPAC, which is a disgusting entity, and I want it gone. I mean, they do a ton of damage. I just think because, and again, I know this isn't what you're saying, but I have been seeing a lot of this online, people who retweet or are very sympathetic to Palestinians. There is a group of them that then the next level is, oh, shocker, this person's Jewish. Oh, shocker, have you seen all the people who are Jewish who are in positions of power or whatever? And it becomes this sort of anti-Semitic, I mean, not sort of, very anti-Semitic. And I think it's bigger than that, because it is not that Israel is controlling us, or it is capitalism. And it is, I mean, I also think it is like a white supremacist, imperial, colonialist mindset, right? Like,
yeah, but I mean, I would agree more. I mean, obviously that brown people, Arabs, make it easier for us to ignore and, you know, otherize them. The whole Arab world has been otherized forever from the US. I mean, we you know, look at Iraq, of course, they didn't even do it, but they were brown as well. We know we were attacked by brown people. So
good enough.
Good enough. A million people, no questions asked. Now they're the people proudly endorsing Kamala's proudly
accepting them,
taking
honored
their endorsement. I can't even say it. I'm so fucking annoyed. But
no, just keep drinking. Drink through it.
But it is capitalism. It's not. Look, it could be some other group, not Jewish people, not AIPAC, not Zionists, whatever. It could be any other group, but they are the number one lobbying group and they are vile in the world.
They're vile, and they're ruining our democracy.
So
no, you're right. I mean, I know. I'm not saying it to. I just think that if it weren't AIPAC, it would be this machine is going to keep running. Because that money is going to keep flowing. And
no, exactly. It's the machine. It's like Biden said, if Israel didn't exist, we'd have to invent it. Right.
Right.
I mean,
he is Trump. I mean, he just says this shit out loud. It's like he says something that, you know, Noam Chomsky would say, right? But when he says it, he's embracing it and loving it. And Chomsky says it as an indictment of the US, right? It's so funny. Like, but he just says the truth right out there. We're just vile. All right. So speaking of vile, all right, do you want to move into the whole the Medi stuff? You know, it's just so rich it's just so gross. So this is Mehdi Hassan on Abby Phillips' show on CNN. And this is a station that still today will talk about mass rape and on October 7th, which has been completely 100% debunked from the leaders at different kibbutz, from IDF soldiers, from Israeli police, from Haaretz, and then down and down and down. But like even places that I'm assuming they don't want to call anti-Semitic in Israel, there was no proven rape on October 7th, not one. But they're still going to talk about it. These are people who talked about the 40 beheaded babies, the babies cut out of bellies. I don't know, and maybe I missed it. I've not seen a single retraction from Abby Phillip, who like right away reposted about the 40 beheaded babies, never said, oh, wow, my source lied to me. Dana Bash, all of these people, right?
Dana Bash was given a show for all her lies.
And have talked, they turned a cartoon against Rashida Tlaib after the pager attack, the terrorist attack by Israel, where how many thousands of pagers exploded randomly, killing hundreds of people, civilians, children. Not everybody who has a pager is a terrorist, is Hezbollah, right? But boy, the US media, they thought it was so great. And Benjamin Netanyahu's like James Bond, and it's such a clever spy. We're like in a spy. This was a great way to infiltrate the terrorists. Like everything was presented like this was some fantastic new tactic to use. And if Hezbollah had done that to Israelis, that would have been a terrorist attack. No doubt, because that was a terrorist attack, right? But that's how they've talked about it this whole time. Oh, so yeah. Sorry, but on CNN, in the National Review, when there was that cartoon of Rashida Tlaib at her desk, and then it's like the bubble says, oh, is that my pager going off? The implication is she also is Hezbollah and a terrorist, right? And instead of dealing with that, both Dana Bash and Jake Tapper turned the AG of Michigan, whose name I can't remember now, who is Jewish, who was on the side against campus protesters. And Rashida Tlaib spoke up against that and said, it feels like whenever it's something pro-Palestinian, people have a lot of preconceived notions. And that attorney general, who won't prosecute Snyder, who poisoned his people, but anyway, said, oh, well, she's anti-Semitic. Rashida Tlaib is an anti-Semite, and she shouldn't talk about my decisions like that, saying that I am, because I'm Jewish, I can't do my job. Rashida Tlaib never said that, but Jake Tapper and Dana Bash spent a week talking about something that Rashida Tlaib hadn't even said about that AG, right? So like they are enmeshed in all of this disgustingness. But now
that's why nobody trusts the news anymore. The news, mainstream media is at the lowest popularity ever. I mean, it's something like less than a third of the country supports trust the news.
Yeah.
But let's show the clip where it's disgusting. It speaks for itself. And here you go.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing it.
You're called an anti-Semite. You've been called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. Okay. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
You should not.
No,
did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope you
don't. Let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Of Hamas.
Guys, let me just
Palestinians.
Are you a supporter
of
Hamas?
what? No, of course I'm not.
I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person inciting violence against
Ryan,
That's
disgusting. That is completely.
I apologize.
Good job, CNN. Let's have Facebook say the Muslim guy should be blown up.
I apologize.
On TV.
Don't say then I apologize. You literally.
I thought he said Hamas.
You didn't think I said Hamas. I said I supported Palestinian rights.
Yes, I did.
Why? Because when you hear
what's funny is Rudy Giuliani said this yesterday, so you're a great guest to be here to defend Rudy Giuliani.
Give me 1 second today, and so at this point,
this is what we're in now. America. This is America in 2024.
Here's what I will say.
Forget the racism.
That's right.
I should
That's
die.
right.
I didn't say that. You
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me a fake
I did not say you should die.
Why did you say with my beeper?
So what did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
So what did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper? No, you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
Ryan, stop talking.
At least have the guts to support your racist comment.
I'm so sorry.
Let her bring it back.
This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us Nazis, but I'm going to threaten the brown guy as a terrorist and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler. But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp
apologize, but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say it to me.
I didn't say it
that
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it to me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said yesterday. And I'm offended that the former president and potentially future president would allow it and go for 12 hours and not say, I don't care. Because you know what? When Kamala Harris put out statements about switching up opinions, it wasn't good enough for Republicans.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you said it.
Why don't you take this back?
So much going on there. First of all, thank you. I saw Dana Nessel, Michigan Attorney General. Thank you. And Ryan Gadursky. So vile, right? I hope your beeper doesn't go off. Disgusting.
I think it's interesting that he's back on. I mean, he's not on CNN, but that he would be invited to the panel. But, you know.
Why? Why do you think that's interesting? Oh, Mehdi?
Yeah, Mehdi, because, you know, Mehdi sort of kissed the ring and told everyone to vote for Kamala and made that argument.
Yep.
Despite Palestine, despite supporting Palestine through and through, he's like, the only sane choice is to vote for Kamala. So I think that earned him his way back, kind of.
But I think he had a show on MSNBC.
He did, but I mean, I just mean
that he's on like, yeah.
He's not cordoned off to the internet only.
Well, he gives cover to all the liberals who want to feel good about voting for Kamala Harris. Like,
right. That's the point.
If you can get past, if genocide isn't your red line, then like there's no conversation actually we can have, but he is somehow making them feel like it's okay. It's a better genocide.
Well, I mean, what he did that the establishment likes is he trashed third parties last week.
Yep.
So that's why he's there, because down the home stretch, what message do they want? They want third parties to not exist. And the only sane choice, even if you're as adamantly pro-Palestine as he is to work on pushing Kamala left on the issue.
Okay, Josh, I'm about to block you from the whole chat. Like, we're talking about real things and he's talking about the Dodgers. Okay, the thing that's really upsetting also, though, is how quick. So first of all, disgusting that the guy says that in the first place, like vile. But again, it's like, they were praising this great attack to get Hezbollah on this same network, right? So disgusting. And now they're going to get up in their high horse just because he said it to one person specifically. But they'll have Fetterman on saying the same thing, right? But then it right away turns to a Nazi rally, which I know we're going to get into. But like, that deflection is really so dishonest. Because, by the way, the stuff that's happening right now, the genocide, this Holocaust, is the Biden-Harris Holocaust. This is not a Trump Holocaust.
Yeah. Look, Trump's disgusting. His rallies are disgusting.
Of course, yeah.
It does help spread opinions that could lead us down a bad path towards actual Nazism and otherizing people and fascism and whatnot.
Totally.
But we're doing that now. So to cover a rally that might potentially go there and not cover us doing it now is the real problem.
It's so crazy, like right away to go off to the Trump thing, which, by the way, at Trump's rally, as gross as it was, Giuliani's standing there saying, I love Israel. We all love Israel. Miriam Adelson is up there loving Israel. One of his daughters is married to a Lebanese American man. Like,
yeah, so pretending that Trump isn't Israeli
bipartisan
enough, somehow, it's such a weird mix, you know.
It was not it was anti-Semitic in that I think Zionism is anti-Semitic, but it certainly wasn't anti-Israel. And all of these people are, you know, like, even just to say this is why Mehdi sucks, is because what he should say is, I do not condemn Hamas. That's what he should say. Nope, I don't. He should do what Norm Finkelstein and Yanis Varoufakis said. Like, no, I don't condemn them any more than I condemn Nat Turner.
I don't mind the position of people that can wedge in condemning Hamas for the attack on the date. Like, there's a moral position to make. No. I'm just saying. But what he needs to, you need to call out what's happening now. You can't just focus on the future. Like, those guys will be worse for this country. Like, he's providing cover for the Democrats and all the atrocities now by literally campaigning for Kamala down the home stretch here. No matter what he says, it's campaigning for Kamala, which is campaigning for the genocide to continue.
Yeah. And spread. Like, I mean, I really do wonder what would happen. I mean, we all know nobody would make this case if they were blowing Jewish babies to bits. Or, by the way, Ukrainian, white, blonde, blue-eyed babies. Remember at the beginning of that war, there were news anchors saying it's just chilling to see. We're used to seeing this happen to, I don't think he said brown children, but other countries. But these kids look like us. They're blonde and blue-eyed. Like, there is an ability to dismiss this like it's just the way of the world. It's what happens. It happens in Africa because we need all of their minerals and resources. And their labor. It happens to Palestinians because they're kind of getting in the way of all the oil we could get off the shore and the arms deals that we could make with Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Like, we're just gonna dismiss that, throw all those people under. That's just the way of the world. You got to get past it, or you're throwing out your vote for Roe v. Wade or something.
Yeah, it's the grown-up argument. Like, he loves making the grown-up argument, Third parties are grown-ups know there's two choices here.
Yeah.
Well, grown-ups can also be more complex and see what's the 20-year trajectory of the Democratic Party or all the issues on the left if you just accept genocide. That's a grown-up position to have. You can disagree with it, but the calling everyone kids and immature and like, social media warriors, and
stick with your one, it's your red line, or you're just going to vote. You're a one issue voter. No, genocide's a pretty big fucking issue, but also there are many other issues that are actually all downstream of the genocide, which is getting us all used to mass extinction, whether climate or pandemics or genocide or protests. These people are dispensable. Grow up, put on your big boy pants.
Grow up. I think we get into some of that in the 2024 stuff.
Yeah. All right. So whatever. It doesn't even matter. I mean, Abby Phillips put out a really long apology. We don't do this on CNN, but meanwhile, I mean, this is a really short clip, but she had an IDF soldier general on, and no pushback when this is what he says.
I tried to correct you to the answer. The war is not just with Hamas. The war is with all the civilians that...
ISIS. Awesome. We believe in civility and CNN.
She sucks.
She's awful.
But that's why she's got her job.
Exactly. Okay. Is there anything else?
I think the rest
can
fit into 2024.
Okay.
There's some more Israel stuff, but I think we need a wheel. Right.
We got to spin the wheel. We got to bring the energy back to happy.
Bring the joy.
Baby.
Bring the joy.
Joy vibes.
The campaign. Yes, the joy. I actually just refilled my glass, but I'll put a little more. I'm going to close it. Wait 1 second. And
I'm going to beer up while we do that.
Beer up.
Yeah, baby.
Shout out to my local brewer making gummy worms. Delicious.
Oh, wait. I want to see that. Wait, I'm closing this because I need to see what you're talking about.
New gummy worms.
Is it one of your frosés?
No, it's just it's an ale, but it's really an IPA. They don't call it one, but it's good.
Okay. All right.
I actually prefer their other one, Ubadank, but it's a green can. It's the one I'm always floating around. You can't see.
Like
so I buy this one just so you can see I'm not some weirdo doing magic tricks on TV.
Looking out for other people. Yeah. All right. We're going to we're sticking with campaign stuff. So this Say What is a new Trump ad. Brace yourselves.
Warning. This ad contains multiple instances of the C word. Viewer discretion is advised. Kamala Harris is a C word. You heard that right. A big old C word. In fact, all of the other C words think she's the biggest C word of them all. That's right, she's a tax-hiking, regulation-loving, gun-grabbing communist. And the worst part, she's proud of it. Kamala Harris, the C word America simply can't afford. See you nationwide, Tuesday, November 5th.
Oh, you see what they did there? See you nationwide.
See you. I didn't catch that. See you.
I mean, they kind of fell off at the W, but
okay.
Thank you, Stephen. We feel the same. Cheers to you.
I mean, the idea that she's a communist and she's proud of it. Like her whole campaign is, I am so not a communist. I am the most capitalist. I am a tech bro. I love war. I love fracking. I love Dick Cheney. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love, everyone on the right. I just watched her campaign today, opened by a Republican calling out, where are my Republicans for Harris voters?
My Nikki Haley voters who now want to vote for Harris.
And there's nobody in the crowd cheering for it. It's like, it's such a failed strategy pushing for these right votes. The left ones are super easy in front of you. You just have to say this genocide's got to stop. And we're stopping it. Here's an action.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. But no, let's lean in on fracking, Dick Cheney, all this shit.
I mean, and what, I don't think it helps her with the left that these lies are told, because communism is just so ridiculous. Like, clearly she's not a communist. But then he'll also do things like, oh, well, she loves the Palestinians and Biden is a Palestinian. And that's first of all, that's a slur, right? But they'll say it like that. Like, she actually has sympathy for Palestinians. And he says that against her as a knock, but it's also not true. Like, she can say whatever the hell she wants to say. She's not for Palestinians. I just saw another kid's head blown to pieces. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. But when he does these things, it this is why they work together so well. These two, the whole kayfabe.
This stuff about the left, Democratic Party left, not our left,
right?
Being communists. It only works because there is no platform on the left. Like when you're a blank slate like she is, the right will define you, and the right has effectively defined her. Trumpers really do think she's a communist. Like, this ad works on them. It's not branching out to appeal to more voters, but they buy this shit. And she's out there still trying to get them over to our side. You're not going to get them over to our side. They think you're a cartoon of all this right stuff. So at least offer something, like, healthcare.
They're always going to call you that,
please.
Right? Yeah. Healthcare, please. But, it is also it is so duplicitous. And I mean, it's just lies, right? Because it's like Obama said all the stuff about Fidel Castro and relaxed the sanctions on them. And because the Democratic establishment really liked him, because he was a capitalist imperialist through and through, right? Bombing, 5 more countries than even George W. Bush had, bailing out Wall Street, all that stuff. So he could say that and relax those sanctions, which probably helped people in the business world anyway. But when Bernie said something about it, CNN, Chris Matthews, right? Like, so the the liberal left, whatever, all like they feed into this because right away they were like, oh my God, Bernie's talking about how Fidel Castro gave people free breakfast and taught them how to read and people had health care and like he's just a commie, you know, and they're going to call you that no matter what. But the Democratic establishment absolutely feeds into this. They help it along.
And all those issues lead to real damage in the world. I mean, who are the only people holding up an embargo on Cuba? The U.S. and Israel for 32 years in a row. It's us.
It is so disgusting. I mean, it's another policy that Trump put in place, right? So one of the few good things that Obama did was relax sanctions on Cuba. Right away, Trump comes in, puts them back in. And not only did Biden not go back to what his president that he was VP of had done, he doubled down and made it even harder to do any tourism there. So like when their power boards just went out last week, that kills people, right? When your power goes out and it's hot and again, like you can't clean the water, people who are needing any sort of medical interventions, nothing is available. They don't have medicine because of us. I mean, it is so vile what we're doing, but that's Biden doubling down on Trump's policy.
Yeah, I mean the world fucking hates us. They know this stuff. We are acting like this is all confusing still, just like Israel and Palestine. But the rest of the world sees the news.
Not complicated.
They're way more informed than our Joe voter, because our Joe voter watches CNN and MSNBC, where there's, you know, Kamala's she's very much a communist on a lefty. If you listen to those shows.
Well, and they keep talking, and yes, that's the other thing that was like
left of Bernie,
appalling.
kind of, you know, they keep saying,
yeah,
which kills
didn't
me.
get us back into the Iran deal. Well, okay, and you know, she has like what a 93%, like she was the most liberal senator in Congress, but that's because she only was in Congress for a couple of years, and it was Trump years. So that was her voting record, where all Democrats voted against Trump, right? So she gets that, whereas Bernie had like a 40-year record in Congress. So of course he's far to the left, or was, whatever, of Kamala, but she gets that for her 2 years there. But then she's honored to have Liz Cheney with her, who has a 92.9% in agreement voting record with Trump. So most progressive.
Yeah. And also, I mean, what most people know of her is from the debates when she ran against Bernie. And when she ran against Bernie, the whole party was pretending to be Bernie. So all of that was fake. Everything she lobbed up during that time was fake. And some of her voting record overlaps with that period. You know, she's got to try to be fake left, and nothing was going to get passed because it was a split Congress. So it was all just PR stuff. It's just like in California, when you had the chance to get something done, you guys don't do it. But then, you'll bring those bills back up when you can't get the votes passed, because it's branding. It's one party.
I mean, we see that every day here in California, right? Where we have a supermajority. Yes, I just want to say, because it is amazing. Yes, Scott Somerville, thank you. I saw that 200 fully funded medical scholarships to Palestinian students. Anytime anything happens, they right away try to like offer their doctors, you know, to come help when we have problems here, even like with Hurricane Katrina or the fire, or was it fires or flooding? Now I can't even remember. Flooding in Houston a few years ago. Like, I mean, it is really despicable. Our sanctions are death sentences for countries, and we use them all over the world. Wait, there was one other thing that somebody wrote, and I feel like we didn't get to it, but okay. All right. What do you think, Pat? Which way do you want to go?
Okay, so we don't have a lot on COVID, but maybe we should get to our COVID. Oh, Jesus Christ. If she's right, we're gonna have to spin the wheel again.
Look at, I put all that crap on my face because of my red, because it's like Rudolph, but now it's still coming through because of all my wine. I have to drink so much, you guys. stinks what's happening in our world.
Yeah, baby.
All right, listen. I'm just a player in the game. Wait 1 second. Let me close it and spin again.
The wheel was lagging for me, so I don't even know.
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
this is the one time I'm happy that Josh showed up in the comments. No. Oh, motherfucker. Go away. My husband.
Dodgers
go
doing
away.
badly?
Yeah, baby.
All right, puppets. And then I'm going to still enjoy.
All right, we'll come back to some COVID stuff after this.
Right.
Here we go.
Partiéndome a
That's awesome. We needed some of that. I look like
That's for the bird folks.
Like Trump, but in red. You know how he always has like orange? I have red. Whew.
The cameras are weird. Like if you try putting your hand up and backing away, sometimes it'll adjust the color.
And then I get like pasty white. All right. COVID.
Yeah. So look, we've had some of these slides are a little bit old, but we didn't get to a lot of the code stuff recently.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of a reminder of where we're at with it more than
a
deep dive into it. But there's a new strain out there that's doing a lot of damage. Right now, this is over in the UK, I believe they're talking about. But 25% is the new variant, and that's going to be heading our way soon. And it's got a higher death toll. So just in time for winter.
Their vaccination process or availability is much lower than ours. I don't think anybody under 12 gets it or is allowed to get it. And also, I don't think under 18, they are allowed to get boosters. So like they had one course of vaccines.
And it's really wild to me that, COVID has disappeared from the discourse so much, but we should be still looking at global best practices, comparing how countries did with the vaccine, that should be a thing. And it's not a thing at all. Like we're just sending people 4 new old tests. That's the latest thing. Oh, COVID's up again. Here you go. 4 new
tests that we just
4 tests.
Why'd they just store them in a warehouse for over a year? And now we get them. They don't ever they're not ever able to see anything. I had somebody come to the house yesterday. We have all these electrical problems. And usually my landlady she's lovely and always tells any workers that I'm OCD and, you're going to have to wear masks and booties in the house. So normally they come with that. He and his partner guy did not. And I don't think she had said anything. And I, greeted them with my mask. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm so sorry. Do you guys have masks or do you mind could I give you masks? And they just gave me this look. And, I really resent,
having to ask is crazy.
I don't like having to ask. I also don't like that we are all made to feel like we're looked at in a certain way when we wear masks. And I blame that entirely on Biden, because that used to be something that libs love to lord over MAGA people. But now libs do that too, right? Everybody's like, what's wrong with you? Why are you still wearing a mask? And so I said, I'm really sorry. We have some immunocompromised people in our house. Meanwhile, nobody's home. So it just I felt like my lie was slowly dissipating. And I said, cancer, which is true. Actually, they don't live in our house, but and he said, and I think this is like, the more I think about it, the more angry I get. He's like, oh, do you mind me asking who? Like, I think he thought he was calling me out on a lie.
Really?
Yeah. Do you mind me asking who? Like, yeah, I kind of do. But I told the truth. My mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my mother, who I'm seeing at the end of this week, who has vascular issues and is 83. Like, and also all of us, like, by your third time having COVID, your increased chance of life-altering long COVID goes up by almost 40%. They're noticing like huge upsurges in rare cancers that are affecting very young people. So like, this is, I mean, Biden killed our public health. He killed it.
And he normalized just saying
Mass
fuck
death.
it to our health system.
Mass death.
And I wanted to add, I'm an electrician. For one, I
wish it had been you. I know. Come down here.
Come visit you and handle some stuff for free.
Yeah, handle it.
Bring some
tools.
I'll
pay you, but you'd wear a mask. No, I'm
kidding. But the other part of that is every day I go in people's homes and I mask, thoroughly. Yeah. And I get, a lot of looks, a lot of like, the mask, a lot of that. I get some people that are like, oh, do you want me to put a mask on? Which I appreciate. Although, you see a mask, put a mask on. That should be obvious. But,
like,
at least they're closer to our view or closer to normalism, realism. But I've only had a couple people actually say something to me about it. Like, but the common thing is like, oh, you don't have to mask for us. We're vaccinated. And like, that's the answer. Like, they really think the cure is that they're vaccinated, even though they've probably had COVID 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, we're vaccinated. So what? I mean, it's truly the gaslighting worked. And that was all from the Biden administration.
Yeah, 100%. And, there was actually, we knew this because when, what's his face? Trump was talking about the vaccine, scientists who were on CNN and MSNBC were very vocal about this can't be a vax only policy. Then, the great savior, Bill Gates, billionaire, refused to allow us to waive the patent so we could vaccinate the world, which actually would have been helpful if we had, while still masking, had really like tried to stamp it out as much as possible with that first round of very effective vaccines. But thank you, Bill Gates, who, much higher body count than Hitler, Trump, whatever. I mean, I fucking hate Trump, but like, let's really measure everybody's body count. Like, how many people have you actually destroyed? But Eric Topol in 2020 was saying we cannot just vax and relax. But here we are. And people, as you said, will still say like, oh, well, he's vaxxed. It's fine. It's not fine.
Yeah. And, pretending that masks don't work, like,
oh my God. Well, that's stupid.
That's a whole nother level of crazy, but the science is so fucking clear that they work. Yeah. But we got rid of a whole strain of flu from just that brief period where everyone was masking. Wiped it off
the masks that don't work. It's that immunity debt.
And
so learning loss.
COVID should be enough, but I mean, the failure of our CDC and the World Health Organization and everybody to really prepare people for the next thing that's probably worse is even more atrocious in a way, because people are already, they're out there now saying TB is killing people.
Look at that. Beth has your number right there. She knew exactly which side we were going to put on there. Yeah.
Oh, Beth.
Look at that. No, yeah. Right.
8.2 million people with TB in 2023. And this obviously relates to COVID because of your weakened immune system, but they won't make that connection, but we're not talking about this at all. Like, it's just like, oh, nobody wants to hear about COVID. Nobody wants to hear about, the bird flu case that just jumped to pigs.
Oh my God. I know. And human to human. I mean, I think they're like 18 now in California. I actually, BNO News, they were the account that was doing the weekly numbers, and they disappeared for a few days, like almost a week. And I looked them up a few days ago and I hadn't seen them for a week. And I wrote to that account. I was like, I'm sorry to be like this, but I haven't seen you in a while. I just want to make sure that everything's okay. You know, like what I did to you last night.
I was just going to say you did that to me because I was
clearly
off my phone for like 2 hours. She's like, are you dead? You must
No,
be dead.
it was more than 2 hours. It was like 5 or 6 hours. And normally like we talk like whatever or text like 20 times a day. And I didn't hear back from you for like 5 or 6 hours. I got a little nervous. So, but it was all
I appreciate it.
You know,
because if I die, someoe's got to come feed the cats. That's all.
Well, I realized like I need your neighbor's numbers or something. So that thing somebody Lori just wrote about, it's so nice to see your smile again. Like people say that, you know, they've said that to me, like, oh, why are you hiding behind your mask like that? You know? And right now we know, as Zachariah says, a plague of dementia, the airborne AIDS idea has been out there from epidemiologists since the beginning because they saw how this was dysregulating T cells. So
the longest study ever on long COVID in kids just came out, and 20. We showed this last week, but 20% of kids and 14% of teens have long COVID.
Yep.
And the numbers just show the more you get it, the more COVID exposures, the more likely you are to get long COVID. So this number is going to be half before too long.
Oh, and no doubt, because people aren't going to the doctor at all to deal with this, right? Like walking pneumonia.
Yeah. And if you think your kid getting lung issues, heart issues, brain damage at 12, and then repeated exposure to this thing that caused that twice or 3 times more every year is going to lead to a long life, you are delusional. This is decimating the future of our kids.
It really is. And I know I'm seeing people write stuff and it's just all so sad. Yeah, my 18-year-old has a cough. And when I said, like, I think maybe you need to go to the health clinic, he's like, no, everybody has this cough. Everybody just has a cough forever. That's not normal. And I was like, you know, honey, that's not supposed to happen. But then I become, because, you know, he does, like, he's embarrassed now. He was so good about wearing a mask up until his senior year of high school. He was so good. But like, he was embarrassed when I would walk into public places with my mask. I was like, you know, honey, I'm older than you are. Like, I hope I go before he does, obviously, but I don't want to go tomorrow. Like, and I also don't want to spread it to people. And why has that whole idea of like taking care of each other and thinking about people in your community has just been completely decimated?
Peer pressure is a bitch. Young people are super susceptible to it. But like when the messaging from the top is to just abandon all protections, it's really hard. I mean, like the one thing, you know, you and I think the biggest change when you get older is your fuckets grow. Like in all areas, you're just fuck. No, this is the right thing. I don't give a shit. Say what you want, you know, but that doesn't, a lot of people are still too much under pressure, which you can see from how many in the healthcare industry just abandon all protections too. And these are people that should know much better. Yep. They see their colleagues all getting sick and they saw the waves of death. And, you know, I don't know what to say, but we do need more examples out there. I wanted to say cheers to Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. And she gets shit from people like fucking Stevie Nicks. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please.
I mean, unbelievable. But yeah, she gets dirty looks and she says, if she gets sick, my whole career is at risk and 40 families depend on me. That's why I'm wearing a mask. Yeah. And by the way, when you see backstage photos of almost anybody on a movie set or at an award ceremony or whatever, they're wearing masks or everyone around them is wearing masks. They know what happens. They have really strict rules because if they get sick, as she said, like it is downstream, the whole crew shuts down.
None of that is seen in the public, which has led to this belief that we shouldn't have to be worried about this anymore. Like, you know,
but you know,
if just the Hollywood piece of it was reported on in the news, like if CNN did an expose on, like, let's see how Hollywood is looking at COVID still. They still think it's real. Look at that. Oh, the precious people have everyone around them mask still and tests. And
what was the thing about, we pulled it last week and then we didn't show it. It was Anderson Cooper talking to somebody, and I can't remember.
Oh, it was about getting the weirdos in airports masking.
Yeah, still, but why was he talking about COVID? I think he was talking about because Obama said something about, we handed Trump a pandemic playbook that he got rid of. And he's right. Like, Trump was a disaster. Trump's disgusting. Like, of course, we know that. God, I can't believe we have to say it every time we ever say anything. But then you bring somebody in who's even worse with the vaccine and then gets rid of all the precautions and safety nets and protections, worker protections that Trump had put in there. Biden got rid of all of that. And now we've got bird flu and nobody's even talking about it. They're not even testing.
It's just, it doesn't play well. The news will tell you, well, it's not popular. People don't want to hear it, you know? And at the end of the day, we need to get our views, which that's shameful enough. Like, fuck, that says a lot about your organization. That's what matters.
They're not in the news. They're in the business. But yeah, you're right. Like, if Hollywood people would just have a little bit more integrity and courage, and, you know, like, I know Timothy Chalamet, he wears a mask all the time. And, you know, look at Ben Affleck and
the daughter.
What's her name? Jennifer Garner? No, what's her last name? Garner? Yeah. Her, like she's wearing a mask because she suffered from long COVID, but nobody around her wears a mask.
Yeah, her parents just like, you know, fuck it. Like, well, you wear your little wacky mask. You do your thing. But
it's crazy. But yeah, seeing that like a whole strain of flu went away because of masks, but masks don't work. Ugh.
All right. Well, we don't have much on COVID, so let's just spin that wheel and get.
Wait, we didn't show the Halloween COVID. We just have to show
we do have more on COVID.
It's a Halloween themed. It's a horror show. I mean, it's every horror show. Okay. Wait, are we spinning the wheel? Look at that. Okay. God, red face. What am I going to do about it?
Yeah, baby.
I got to drink more. Less is more. Timeline cleanse. Let's see it.
I'm Jewish on my mom's side, Italian on my dad's side. I'm part of a secret group that runs the world's plumbing. That's an example of an anti-Semitic joke. And I bring that up because that's what anti-Semitism used to mean. It used to mean you'd say, oh, Jews, they run the banks, they run Hollywood, they're all cheap, they all have big noses. But then something changed. Something changed, and now anti-Semitism seems to mean criticizing Israel in any way, shape, or form, which feels different. I mean, now if you say something like, oh, I think Israel should stop bombing innocent civilians, some people are like, that's a stereotype. Not all Jews shouldn't bomb innocent civilians.
I like him. He's good.
All right. Not cleansing enough, though. So here's an old commercial from the 80s that's not even funny, but this is what we grew up with for you young kids watching.
Hey, kid, would you like some drugs? The first one is free.
Want to check out my van? I got some candy.
Hey, kid, want to join our gang and spray paint under a bridge?
No, no!
Bug off, man. I'm going roller skating. I want to be addicted to roller skating, not crack. Because we roller skate today, we will go to college tomorrow. Prison is full of people that have never roller skated.
I'm Brad Armstrong, owner of Roller Kingdom in Reno, Nevada, keeping your kids off the streets since 1999.
Crack is whack.
A little more
That's
joy.
so funny. That's a little more joy. That's funny. The satanic panic. Yeah. Crack is whack.
Oh, they used to run all those after school specials and ads and, you know, like don't get in the truck and the drugs and luring them with the candy and all that weird stuff. Like we grew up with that. We were all latchkey kids who just like, I grew up, walked home from school myself at like 8, 9 years old. It's a different world.
Did you? Yeah. Although, I mean, I guess it just depends where you are. My kids, when we were close enough to school, were allowed to do stuff like that. But wait, now I'm looking at like roller skating on LSD. That's funny, Jenna. Did you see that one special? It was some CBS ancillary to 60 Minutes where they went to a park and asked different moms, like, have you told your kids not to go off with a stranger if they offer candy or to see puppies in the van or whatever? And they were like, yeah, for sure. My kids know. And every single kid was like, do you want to see my little puppies in the van? And like, they would grab a stranger's hand and just run off with them. Every single one.
Yeah, it's
candy is good.
Probably easy. And you know, with it, everything being online, I don't know if you heard about that. Somebody just got like life in prison for it, but they were luring kids, you know, the video games, the bit, what's the bit one? I don't know this. What do these kids play?
Oh, like the Roblox or something? Roblox. Or the other
I'm
one.
close. Roblox.
No, Roblox. There's Roblox, but then there was the other one that everybody would do, and I can't even remember what it's called. My kids didn't really do it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. The building one.
Allegedly, you know, the game really looked up to people who were the coders because they would build these games within the game.
Right.
And one of these big mega stars that people all looked up to was pretended to be female. It wasn't Minecraft. It's the other one.
It was Roblox.
I think it was Roblox.
All right. Well, everybody, we said
they're all saying Minecraft.
I said Roblox first, just gotta say, but then everybody else said Roblox, and you said no. Then we went to Minecraft, and now okay.
Anyway, he was pretending he was a female and forming these relationships with young females themselves, and then luring them to send sexual stuff. And then when they would send sexual stuff, then I think he admitted he was a man, but then he forced them to do other videos and whatnot.
Were ashamed, so he was like
to go further, or he blackmailed them with the earlier stuff that he'd sent. And apparently, thousands upon thousands of women and kids and whatnot fell in this. And somebody killed themselves because they wouldn't, because he asked her to film something with her sister or something creepy, and she's like, she killed herself. Anyway.
Yeah.
So everyone has their own
horrible and
environment.
It's unfortunately it's just very easy to get caught up in that. It's just very easy. Unfortunately, that sucks. That's
your timeline, Clarence.
That's the time. Way to bring us up. Usually it's me who does that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've been Debbie Downer lately. What do we got?
We got okay. So now we're headed to our 2024. We have an absolute tie. Although, as we were talking about on Sunday, Harry Enton's kind of like losing his mind, and his former boss Nate Silver of the former 538, that this could be an election where Trump wins the popular vote but loses the electoral college. Like they've, all the different permutations. Mostly nobody knows because they have not been able to figure out a way to poll voters that rectifies the previous mistakes, because things keep shifting, right? Like there was a Trump shame vote in 2016 where people wouldn't admit that they were voting for Trump, right? Then, so that was maybe undercounted, they thought. Then there were young people who weren't on landlines and they didn't know how to reach them. So like they missed a whole, demographic there. So nobody knows if they've overcorrected or undercorrected, but mostly the fact that Democrats are running a Republican platform against a Republican means that they keep saying it. We're so divided. We're not divided. Like most of this country wants one thing and most of the people in power want something totally different. That's the only divide.
Yeah, it's two flavors of shit. As Nina Turner says, two cheeks of the same ass. And nobody wants them. This is who we're stuck with. That's why I named the hashtag garbage in, garbage out, because.
Oh, did you name it?
Yeah. Oh, did I? Sorry. That's why I wrote this whole show. But look, we have no good choice and people know it. So they're leaning into these old tropes. The whole don't like here's a Kamala ad, really. Like,
oh my God.
This is the whole secret Democrat vote they're hoping to reach.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
I hate this ad so much, I can't even tell you. It is so infantilizing. Like, I know I've heard stories, anecdotal things about women who are so abused by their spouses that they don't feel like they have a voice to speak. But like, that's the demographic she's reaching out to.
Yeah.
With that. What the fuck?
And I saw online, I don't know what it was related. I don't know if it was related to this or not, but someone's comment was, that's why I make my wife do a mail-in vote so I can see who she signs the vote for.
Wait, who said that?
It was just a random internet comment.
But was that a joke? Or was that actually?
No, it was a serious comment by somebody. Like, that's why I make sure she signs.
I mean, I guess vote. That's a thing, but man, that's like, of course they make him a total hayseed, like with a Southern accent kind of deal, like stereotypical. And I don't know, there's like secret society of women who are so abused, but really want to vote for Kamala Harris. I don't know. That is just like, you're going after the Nikki Haley women and the abused wife club, and you are throwing your whole base under the bus and telling them you don't give a fuck about it. But I don't know. To me, that just feels like something that could have been done in the 50s. That's like I Love Lucy kind of ad, right?
And I mean, maybe that's the vibe, because they're not going back to those times, kind of like, it fits in with it. Like, I don't know. But the larger point is that, yeah, they're leaning in and courting all these right-wing votes when the left votes are right there. They're right there. The easiest election to win in history right now. Again, change your policy on Gaza. Say you
offer anything. Like, what is, they're not even offering.
Even if you're not offering healthcare, something.
Anything. Like, we're seeing these graphics, right? Where it's like the biggest transfer of wealth to the most evil people in the world, half of whom we see, like half of these people are funding Kamala and half of them are funding Trump. And, one of them, is that only one, is, hedging his bets and not allowing his writers on his Washington Post to come out with an endorsement, which, I mean, I don't care. I know we talked about it on Sunday. We don't care. I'm fine. I don't think a paper should be endorsing anybody anyway, but maybe make that decision several months ago, not the week before, if it's something that's new to your outfit. And it's clear he's doing it because he has several government contracts. And right now, most rich people, the CEOs, are backing away from Kamala because maybe they don't like they just know it's 50-50. It's a coin toss. It could go either way, and they don't want to anger Trump.
But it's largely self-interest. But on the other hand, you know, like we talked about last week, capitalism is like, what can you do for the donors? What can you do for the donors? Trump is in some ways riskier for the donors because it has to be in his interest too. So it's his donors that are going to get rich, you know, and whatnot. So you have to be on his side, which is why you've got the Bezos and the billionaires leaning his way a little bit, you know, or at least hedging their bet and taking away the reason to have Trump turn on them kind of thing. But Wall Street, the Democrats are courting the business side of, you know, the neoliberalism is on full display like never before. And to have Wall Street come out and lean Kamala, like this clip kind of was telling to me. And Lila found this clip.
Some of Wall Street top CEOs are reportedly backing away from Kamala Harris. Why, Lauren?
I think they're being realistic. Charlie Gasparino wrote in the New York Post, and he says specifically at J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon and Goldman Sachs' David Solomon have seen private poll numbers, and Trump is ahead. The pair does not want to be a political enemy in the potential new Trump White House, so they're prioritizing their companies as well as their careers. And what this story does is remind me of the liberal Washington Post and the Los Angeles Times. No endorsements this time around. Saying nothing speaks volumes.
Why do you think CEOs are drifting towards Trump?
I think it's a good thing.
He's going to win?
Well, look, I want to tell a quick story. I got recruited as managing director to Morgan Stanley almost 20 years ago. My first day on the job, the CEO then, John Mack, who I loved, called and asked me to contribute to a Hillary Clinton dinner. I said, Mr. Mack, I'm a lifetime conservative Republican. He said, so am I. He said, our job is to bet on the winning pony. It's good for these guys to not get too deep into Harris. They're obviously not getting deep into Trump. Play it back a little bit. They have to be pragmatic. They have shareholders to think about.
They do indeed. Coming up.
That's our country. Shareholders. I mean, Kamala has Mark Cuban running around as an official surrogate, right? Saying we're going to get rid of the capital gains tax and Gary Gensler. And Lena Khan. Yeah, all of that. As her official spokesperson. I mean, the only popular thing about the whole Biden administration is Lena Khan and the child tax credit, which they got rid of. And now she's basically telegraphing she's going to get rid of Lena Khan.
But this is why they don't want any third parties to exist or be part of a debate ever, is because there would be pressure on her to be left. And since we skipped the primary, that's normally where the pressure is, which is why we're especially fucked right now, because they're not even faking left a little bit. So they're dragging all these Democratic voters right on this idea that courting CEOs and billionaires is good. Deregulation to speed up to solve the housing crisis is good, you know. And these are not ideas that used to be left. And they're now suddenly the left. Like, we have to cut the red tape on housing. Like, no, regulations. That's not it. It's not deregulating housing.
No regulations on food, right? On drilling, on housing. Every man for himself. Yeah, no, this is 100% Republican. This is the farthest right. Like, she's further right than Biden, honestly, because at least Biden pretended to get in, that he was going to do a public option and a minimum wage, and she's not even doing that.
And we're going to roll out a new segment soon, something about broken clocks being right every once in a while.
Yeah.
But things have really changed when I'm agreeing with this dirtbag. But kudos to him for going on TV and saying what is obvious.
At pick stocks. This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Hillary Clinton was chosen, and she had Bruce Springsteen too. And what happened to her? And now we've chosen.
Kevin, Hillary Clinton won a primary. Okay, she won a primary. You may not.
Nobody could compete with her, even Bernie Sanders.
She won a primary.
Okay.
First of all, that's the first
so
thing.
So did Kamala Harris win a primary?
Listen, we've talked about this before.
What's wrong about talking about it tonight after what you just saw?
Do you think that's really what matters to voters?
Right now.
How many Democrats wish?
Your whole shtick has been,
on a second.
let's talk about what matters to voters. Do you really think voters care about the intranecine primary process?
If you're a Democrat, you sure as hell care today.
I know that you are from Canada, but the primary process.
That's why I'm perfect for this. I have no skin in the game other than to get a great president.
It's not in the Constitution. The political parties can choose however they want to choose their nominee.
Right.
And as long as they meet the legal deadlines in the states where they are on the ballot, they can do it however they want.
I
just want
to be transparent. Yes.
I mean, do voters care about this? Do you think that most voters during the primary, where they all put on their little "I voted" sticker and they go off and they think they've done democracy, and she's saying voters don't care about this. It's not in the Constitution. They're private parties, and they can pick whoever they want. Voters don't care that they show up to vote, and it doesn't matter. Most liberals think that we have a democracy. Right there on TV on CNN, he says there hasn't been a primary, 3 primaries in a row, not a truly democratic primary. And they all say it's not in the Constitution that it needs to be democratic.
Yeah, and that's obviously missing the point, is that it doesn't matter if it's in the Constitution or not. We're asking, was it a democratic process?
We don't want to talk about that anymore.
And we're saying, no, we don't talk about that. She got her boost because everyone hated Biden, and they overlooked her. They were able to force her through without any sort of semblance of a process.
But they didn't
people
do
were
that.
Just like stoked it wasn't Biden. But the chickens have come home to roost. People don't like you because you
suck. You don't have any ideology. You don't have any integrity. You don't stand for anything. You don't want to deliver anything to the working class. But also, it was a coup. And
and it kills your saving democracy argument, which is why it's so important that he brings this up. Yeah. And then the first thing that CNN does through Abby Phillips is quash that news. We're having a discussion show on politics, but that's over. We settled that. She won. Yeah. They don't have to follow laws. What? You're talking about punditry anyway. You're already talking about you're not talking about the legal issue. You're debating how voters are reacting to this stuff. All of this is fair game, but they go out of their way to shut that down.
It's so funny. It's such gaslighting. It's like in 2016, when so many of us on the left were like, they're rigging the primary. They scrubbed over 200,000 people off the ballot, off the rolls for the primary in New York, in very clear areas where they were pro Bernie. They gave people provisional ballots. They closed whole offices anywhere where there are students or Black and brown or more lefty kind of communities. Yeah. There were lines for hours, all of that is voter suppression. And when we would say things about that, liberals would be like, what are you talking about? That's not true. No, it's democracy. It's just, if you really want to vote, you stand in line, you make it work. Here's a single mother working 3 jobs. And then when the Democrats, the DNC, won the lawsuit that said that they had the right to pick their candidate and it didn't have to be democratic, then they were like, yeah, it doesn't have to be a democratic process. So any which way, we lose. You say it's rigged and they're like, oh, stop it. You're just like Trump. It's not rigged. And then when the actual courts of law say, no, they rigged it, but they're allowed to, they're like, yeah, they're allowed to. It's a private.
Yeah, but the lesson to the real left here is that you are never going to take over the Democratic Party. You are not going to do it. Bernie was a unicorn, a true unicorn that came along at that time, could have potentially done it. In the next 20 years, we're not going to have another Bernie-like person with his stature, credibility, clean record, in line with the public, and he couldn't have risen if it didn't come alongside with the fall of Hillary Clinton in a way, and the rise of Trump. Like, so all these things had to happen.
Yeah,
It
converge
was like
at the
the
same time.
perfect convergence of all these things.
Yep.
So like, we're not going to take over the Democratic Party. We have to look outside of it for other things, but you can't keep voting for it.
You can't keep voting for it. It's so dangerous. Like, it is so dangerous to endorse a Democratic Party that insists they have to do a genocide, knowing that 70%, like 70% of Democrats want Medicare, or 80% want Medicare for all. 70% at the beginning of the primaries, when Biden said he was going to run, said, we don't want Biden. They did it anyway. It didn't change until they had internal polling. And then the donors were like, oh, we're not going to put all of our money on this old guy. We're going to coup him and put in Kamala. Not democracy, right? 70% want an arms embargo. She doesn't care. She doesn't care about anything that her own party wants. If she wins, that's just reinforcing they do not need to listen to us at all. They already don't, but like, if she wins, that's why if you're in a swing state, you like, I'm not going to vote shame anybody. Vote for whoever you want, but for God's sakes, we've been doing this lesser evil for 40 years. Look where we are. She's not even running on a living wage or health care or climate.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, look, if we're stuck in a two-party system, if that's the reality we're living in, would we be better off at some point breaking the chain and stopping the ratchet? Like, would we or not? I mean, you
have to.
If this works, if genocide works, if not putting out any policy that anyone supports works, and they win, she's going to run on everything right that she said, and she's going to try during her 4 years to be as right as possible, because that's what the donor pressure is going to be. That's the war pressure. That's the AIPAC pressure. All that pressure is not going to change. It's going to let up, actually, to be left. All the pressure to be left is going to be let up.
I mean, what's her name? Why I keep saying that. I'm so like, it's my one time I had COVID. It's clearly something's going on here. AOC Pelosi did her Twitch stream with Tim Walz. And in the middle of it, she's like, I do not want to. Do you remember what it was like with tweets? With Trump? There was always some bullshit going on that we had to protest. I don't want that. Like, have you looked around? We are arresting peaceful campus protesters. We are firing university presidents and college professors. We are criminalizing any protest against environmental destruction. We are criminalizing words. We are doing a genocide. Like, how is that not, like, I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody is making peace with this.
It's just especially gross because her whole thing is kind of like the joy. She's pushing the joy narrative. Like, here I am in bed talking about, oh, I don't want the tweets. And I don't want, just all casual. And, oh my God, Trump, my God, And if you're an actual leftist and you are going to push this, we got to vote for her stuff. You should be telling your people and your supporters, look, here's how we can do things to get left more with a presidency, a Kamala presidency, but you can't make that case because it doesn't exist. And she doesn't want to. She's part of the establishment now. For all the bullshit she said over these years, she's just Nancy Pelosi now. She's on the trajectory, at least, to being Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, 100%. He even said, Tim Walz was like, we're going to get there, and then we're going to put that gavel in your hand.
Yeah, and our cabinet's going to be full of Republicans. And
I want to hear good ideas from everywhere. Not the left, but I want to hear good ideas from the good Republicans.
Give me your most neoliberal idea, and we'll meet you in the middle on it.
Actually, we'll go further. We'll give you a border bill. We'll give you the Heritage Foundation's healthcare policy. We will give you a fascist border bill, and we will slaughter all Palestinians and Lebanon. And then we're going to branch it with a little bombing to Yemen on the side because of the Houthis, and then also Iran.
A little Iran.
Fuck.
And hey, your neighborhood, we're going to bring fracking back, even though even the people in the neighborhoods with fracking don't want the fucking fracking.
What will be funny if she loses is Biden's going to have a fucking coronary. It's like, they got rid of me just to have her lose. Although, okay, so we have 5 minutes. So let's just do a really quick thing on how, because they're not running on any policies and they're not winning, like they're not convincingly winning. She might win, but she's not like, you should be running.
I think she
away
loses
with
at this
it.
point. I'm sorry, but we'll see.
But
all you got to do is lean left anytime. Even now, this final week, a lot of people haven't cast their votes yet.
Come on. Nobody's going to believe that at this point. I think it's, I don't even know, but like, you really think anybody's going to be like, oh, like
you could do a Mayday Malone and try is what I'm saying. But her final week is just the opposite, and you got Biden out there basically doing the deplorables part 2 here comment with calling Trump voters garbage,
which, fine. If you want to stick to that lane, but you can't do that while you also are begging for their votes and not just begging for their votes, but like going right on policy to appeal to them. Why are they deplorable? Like, why are Trump voters more deplorable than George W. Bush voters?
Trump voters are deplorable. So we're going to get Dick Cheney. Liz Cheney, but we're gonna get all the Cheneys and every Republican you ever hated to endorse us and come up and introduce us on stage and campaign
and put
with
Richie
us.
Torres in fucking Michigan that you have to win. Have AIPAC enshrined Richie Torres go there and really explain to everybody how she is 100% pro-Israel in Michigan, where Trump had Muslim American leaders up on stage saying, we're voting for Trump. He's the peace candidate. She has the Cheneys on board, and they haven't met a brown country they haven't wanted to bomb. And yeah, you can say it's cynical, but it's also true. And no, Trump's not a peace candidate, but it doesn't matter. There is no peace candidate of those two. Yes, they're on the left. We have many options, and I'm so grateful for them. But like, there's no peace candidate in these two.
And that's the point, is that she's taken away reasons that people enthusiastically vote for you. They're all gone. Like, her base is very disenthused. I mean, for a black person to have less black support than Biden did in the Democratic Party kind of says it all, because they are the base of the party and they're the most disenfranchised group because they've been so fucking let down, Like, the Democratic Party is like, oh, they used to be a health food store that's good for you. And now they're like, all we have is burgers. Vegetarians, you got to vote for us.
5 times as expensive.
Because the right has got a worse burger. The worst burger on the right. It's worse for your cholesterol. I know you're a vegetarian, but you got to vote for us. I like that analogy.
That's
Thought
pretty
of that
good.
like 10 seconds ago.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that you just want to like claim everything that you've contributed to the show.
I did. This background. Look, our background.
Scorecards today.
You see that martini glass?
Yeah, I feel like you're like there's a little friction here. I must have done something to piss you off. It was like because I called you 8 times in a row. Like, why aren't you answering me? Are you okay? And I'm not normally like that. Like,
you're
I
not
really
my
am
mom.
not. Just kidding. All right. I don't know. We didn't even talk about the whole like Madison Square Garden casting it as a Nazi rally, which is so ridiculous. Like she is falling back on totally the Hillary Clinton strategy of, as you said, like deplorables. I know it was Biden who said the garbage comment, but like they are going out of their way. MSNBC did a whole like minute-long segment on how having a rally at Madison Square Garden is like reintroducing the Nazi rally from the 1930s. Meanwhile, JFK had a rally there, Carter had a rally there, Clinton had a rally there. Like, what are you talking about? You have, like, obviously, I'm not a Republican. I hate Republicans. I'm going to say this every time as my my caveat before I start talking about Democrats. Never
Don't
would
vote
vote
for Trump,
for
people.
Republicans. I hate Trump. All of these Republicans are disgusting. Yes, I mean, the people in power, all deplorable, and Democrats too, but like disgusting people. This was not a Nazi rally. He had Arab Americans up there on stage, who, by the way, wanted to get up on stage with Kamala. Nope, they were rejected. He had Jewish Americans. He had Rudy Giuliani saying how much he loved Israel and how we all love Israel. Like, not a Nazi rally. It's fakakta. It's like not talking about any policies that's going to help anybody. Yeah, they're racist but like towards everybody, like truly towards everybody.
Yeah.
But so they're doubling down on all of this, which is so crazy. And then I just, and at 7:00 we're going to go, but this just really cracked me up. Hillary had to get her post in. New Yorkers, Donald Trump may have Madison Square Garden, but we have Carnegie Hall. Join me this Wednesday night. Oh, I think it's actually right now. You guys should go watch her to get real about this election, our way forward as a country, and so much more. And on that note,
I mean, am I wrong? Is Carnegie Hall a little more bougie than?
That's
Madison
the whole
Square
point.
Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
That's the Nazi place. It's meanwhile where like sports events happen and concerts and like a million things that most of the country wants to go to. But
yeah,
she's gonna help Kamala out to put that final
it's like
nail in
them
the
thinking
coffin.
Lizzo hopping on her private jet was a good little moment for them, where they're like, we're not taking that stuff from Trump, and then she hops on her private jet. Like, that's not, you're not relating to people that you're supposed to be appreciate.
Like,
it's not
Mean Girl. It's all Mean Girl shit. And Lizzo was a Bernie person. Like, we just lost the whole momentum. We lost it.
I almost wore a Bernie shirt tonight to be a costume as a Bernie bro, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know. It's just too hard now. It's too hard. All right. This is hilarious. Everybody, like, with all your funny comments, like, we should just have like a pile on Hillary night sometime to just like get it all out and burn all of our shit. Right.
I thought we did that for the last 7 years or something.
I mean, she keeps coming back. She's like fucking Jason or Freddy Krueger or whoever the hell. Kill her, mommy. Kill her.
Genital warts. Anyway.
Yeah. Where boners go to die, as Jon Stewart said so eloquently.
Do not come. Do not come. Do not come.
Added that to our soundtrack. I think it's not loud. I need her screaming it.
All right, everybody, have a fun rest of the World Series. I'm checking the score. Fun Halloween tomorrow night, if whatever you're doing. I'll be on a plane drinking heavily, and you can tell by I'm gonna have to do something about my cheeks. We will see you all on Sunday. Do you have any parting words before we set up the last clip?
Lila does most of the work for the show. That's why I'm trying to claim these little things.
Just answer my call within like 5 hours. That's all.
All right, text me in a minute. Let's FaceTime now. Now that your Dodgers are go, FaceTime me. Let's talk about my issues.
Okay, so this is Omnia Hagazi doing a little funny bit for our one good thing that we are ending on. Happy Halloween. We love you guys. Stay safe. Keep punching up.
Oh, I'm pushing it. Here we go. See you guys next week.
Cheers.
Or Wednesday or Sunday. Sunday.
Oh my God.
I cried when Trump won the election. I was with her in 2016. I'm voting for Kamala Harris to save our democracy. Don't talk about voting third party. Trump won because they voted green. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal. Well, I feel for those children in Gaza, but October 7th was wrong. And violence is never the answer. I wish both sides would just get along. And Kamala's working for ceasefire, even if she's still sending the bomb. So love me, love me, bumper right next to the flag of Ukraine. I'm much more evolved than a Trumper, but bombing kids is okay. And don't be a one-issue voter when dictatorship is at stake. So love me, love me, love me, I'm a liberal. I get my news from Rachel Maddow, NPR, and the New York Times. I'm gonna vote blue down the ballot, even if they support genocide.